happy to get that wall opened up into connector, start to establish some pressure on that connector side. But for now, definitely a Team SESH favorite round, as you still have all those open angles and mirror windows up, ready to challenge everyone on the attacking side. No real solution to these mirrors or the bandit wires either, as no EMPs and no Twitch drone is going to make this a really difficult attack for the Outlast Black side.
I think you can do, maybe go underneath, hope that Nexus can get something on the Rotero, maybe the Ash charges through. Not a lot of options, because that bandit is still going to be there. Tess is going to try to open it up. I don't think he's going to have much success. The left side will be open, and there's not going to be much contestation coming out from TK. But now, the wall is open. You still have to get rid of the players inside of the garage and rafters, and the players just outside of IT. And without having that one attacker whose main job is to give the definitive position of said players, I think you're going to have a difficult time. The mirror window doesn't have a lot of counters. Ace is going to be dropped. Good attack, or excuse me, good defense to start off.
Player downstairs about to get hunted down. Exalt enabled on this Deimos by the mute ban. You were saying it though, probably not tracking down a player in the vicinity of a mute jammer, and that guy definitely wasn't anywhere near where any of the mute jammers would have been. Good trade back from Neo though, to make sure Exalt goes downstairs, and 35 seconds left for Nexus and Ron Artest to try and pull something out of this round, as they just walk into water trying to grasp at straws for some opportunities at kills. Neo just swings wide though, and will dispatch of Ollie, leaving Nexus alone in the 1 versus 4. Flores drone going to open up a nicer angle for him, and kind of just hoping that he gets swung on from all the angles he was looking at, but was not looking at Neo, who will swing wide and make it a 3K, I believe, on the round for him.
Pretty brutal opening. Not, I think, a lot of bright spots. The only good thing coming from the singular kill of the Deimos, the one being of which he is designed. There's nothing to work on as a team, and now going on to the basement, we probably will expect, I think, some changes, because otherwise, I don't think there's really much to work off of as an attacking lineup. Like, you want something with vertical. I think you do need to bring some sort of buck. I think a ram is maybe a bit niche for this site. Otherwise, I think you're still going to give a lot to Team SESH, who are going to run this vertical, run this roam to deny the vertical, which is going to be up on that first floor. You are going to have space with that boss G. I would expect maybe the Lunar and Neo as well. The only real changes coming in from Outlast Black are going to be the IQ counter the Valkyrie.
5 seconds to insertion.
It's
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't like the line.
I'm not even sure, and it's not even really like a direct take, because there's no thermite. You're not going to direct take straight into a site off the back of one Selma charge. You're going to do it with an exothermic, so I don't quite know what the tech is. Their vert is 3 breaching charges. They don't even have a secondary shotgun. They also have Exalt on Deimos, who's probably just going to run the vert pretty much by himself, it would seem. But so far, they do try a little bit, at least based on where the drones are going. They are going to try to invade the second floor first. Ace has found a nice little safe spot to enter towards top water. Only one up player on the second floor, though it is space. It will be hard to drone out and spot. But hopefully some drone support for Ace, as well as this Dokkaebi call, will make it easier to figure out exactly where that vigil is. Presence on his window as well, so Nexus trying to make sure that space is not comfortable here. He's getting pushed from behind too. Needs to be worried about every single angle, and he's caught on the walk-in. Great kill for Swifted. Space way too far away from everybody else. And 1 minute in, opening pick to Outlast Black.
Lunar and Neo aren't there. C4 initially looked like it might be able to claim Swifted, but instead Lunar takes a big chunk of HP. There's where Neo makes himself known. And is space for Swifted a good trade? We'll have to see once we get later into the game, but here's the big man himself. Deimos is going to start to track Neo. Currently is 5-0, and there it is. Gets the job done. Outlast Black, they're able to get a man count and ban.
Yeah, running that kind of a play into a Deimos team from Neo Very rough indeed. No real hatches to drop through on that side of the map at all. And had to try and run all the way back to vending to get back to the site. Caught sprinting and gunned down. You're not going to win that. 2 minutes wasted on the second floor, though. So as long as Team SESH don't lose too much more in terms of utility or bodies before this execute, they do stand a chance if they're able to catch somebody isolated. Badger trying to look for that isolated pick out towards the assembly wall and just a little bit off in the timing, because otherwise he could have caught Ollie walking up on it. Instead, Ollie shoots the Guman, gives away that he's here, and so ready for Badger in the middle of the room. SMG 11 or not, I don't think he's going to win that one. And now the Animus set up, ready for the walk-in. Lunar trying to get ready for this walk-in, though. But he's so low on health. One shot to the chest is all that it takes. And the last player already scanned out on the Deimos. So that info going to do all the work in the post-plant. Or not even letting the post-plant happen is Exalt, swinging wide off of his easy scans. And taking down TK.
I think it's a pretty definitive role player. You're not relying too much on what makes the default work. It's just good team play. I think you played around each other, which is kind of not what happened in the first round, and I think Team SESH were really able to exploit you early on. We'll have to see if it's a trend that happens throughout the game, if it's just a one-site weakness that Outlast seem to have, or it just could be those early round jitters. I mean, I mentioned how Outlast Black, I think, would have had to come in very hot, very heavy, because Team SESH previously came in with a big win over Fluffy Aimers, with the majority of people being pretty hot, especially Neo himself. He had a very good game, and his first death came in that round. And I think with Outlast running a lineup that really only has like 1 or 2 players swapping lineups, you've got the Thermite instead of the Finka, and like the IQ instead of the Ash. It's just mostly running around, I think, that demo in my eye.
Seems like the entire attack strat kind of running around the Deimos. Starting to realize why they made that mute ban, not just hypothesizing, oh, it seems like maybe it was to try and prevent Deimos counter. Actively seeming like it really is, and we have circumstantial evidence to prove that being the idea that a lot of these attacks have been revolving around Exalt on the Deimos, and he's the only one on multiple kills so far. And they're 1 for 1, which, all things considered, pretty solid start attacking a map like Labs, so can't hate on the strats too much. Away from the basement up to the middle floor is where Team SESH are going to go, and they still have heavy control of that vert. Far too early for anything to happen to that. It looks like, again, a top water entry for Ace might be the play, and with the Dokkaebi calls to boot, as well as the Dokkaebi herself getting on cams, everybody looking at this IT wall, it doesn't look like the top water entry going to be super anticipated, although eventually he will start to set up for it. But very close in that corner is Ace, sitting in the CC hall, blasts open the wall, just waiting for an opportunity. He's right next to them. They're not ready for him at all. Great trade back from TK, but it's still an opening 1 for 1, and that's going to give everybody else the opportunity to push forward, but they're not really taking the best advantage of said opportunity. Swifted loses that fight to TK, who's now on a double kill, still in towards server, eventually taken down by Nexus, but there's still another player towards Pillar yet to be dispatched of, and the SMG-12 not quite accurate enough to land that kind of a shot at that kind of a range. Legion now targeted by the Deimos, his space will fall away, and the whole top floor cleared, but a man advantage to SESH, and now they're going to play around the basement too with all that info, but not quite just yet. Are you going to be able to escape? Instead, Nexus shuts space down before he can get anywhere.
And so much chaos up on this top floor. I think both of these teams have done a very good job at watching each other's back. Trade game, if you will, which is why we end up in this 2v2. The Deimos being used to pretty good extent. I think they cleared out that top floor utility pretty well. And now you do have 1 more tracker, but you're not going to get it for about 5 more seconds. The Goo Mine is going to stop you from really getting anything done. And now, with all those red pings, the defense has a very good advantage in these last 20 seconds.
Oh, but here comes Badger trying to make the play, but Exalt's able to spot him out. A little bit of a whiff from Badger, and now all they have is the vertical. Lunar can't quite catch Nexus before the case ends up going down. Bomb not planted where he thought it was going to be either, so he'll have to retake somewhere else. If anything, that's actually a good thing, though, because where he was expecting it to be would have been a very easy post plant to win, given that player on the window that could have been there, but instead it's Nexus who just got the bomb down, playing inside cargo hull. Easily taking that round. And nice cleanup for Outlast Black.
I think roam clear seems to be working. They seem to be playing around each other. First round might have just been a fluke, and now is the time where I can definitely be proven right. Heading back to command, it's been long enough where this Outlast team knows their way around how SESH is going to play. Clearly, they've warmed up. They've got Nexus and Exalt, who I think are still really the core of what makes this lineup work. You've got the heavy calls combined with the Arrow. What does he call it? Oh my god. It's escaping. What does Deimos call his little
Boogie?
guy?
No, that's Ram.
No, right? It's
Oh, don't you like Deimos a lot? I feel like you should know this if anybody.
I haven't played this game at all this season.
I thought you were a big fan of the Deimos aesthetic, though, at least. What?
Did you not see
5 seconds remaining.
Happy Be Excited post round YouTuber thumbnail reaction? We get a second chance at that?
Okay, give me a second chance. Okay. Too long. I'm not doing that. I'm holding that position. Okay, I didn't know what that meant.
Mr.
I didn't
Chance,
know what that meant. I'm sorry. Okay.
They're called the death.
Well, we can get the run back. We can get the run back later.
Do it again. I said
Not
do it again.
right now. Let's do it after the round when it makes sense. Okay. Anyways. We'll get into round number 4. Nice little bandit trick from TK. And that whole wall just denied. They're actually just giving up on it. Because another thing about this attack, I know we've been kind of not clowning, but showing disapproval of the Outlast Black attacking compositions. Another limitation of it is that you only have one hard breacher. And so now you've officially bottlenecked yourself into only being able to play around that IT wall. A connector side execute going to be way harder unless they abandon that room, which doesn't seem super likely. So now you'll probably need to try and get some garage control and play around to walk into that part of the map. But then if they reinforce the third opened wall and the triple wall, then you're kind of just bottlenecked into the objective. I feel like Team SESH have a massive leg up now because Outlast Black just chose not to bring too much hard breach utility, and that reinforcement's just gone down. So basically no way for Outlast Black to get into the site aside from a couple of doorways.
Got those phone calls. On next, going to peek off it, but seems like they're wanting to make sure they can get everything done, whether it is get those second phone calls going, know the general position of the Azami. But I think they've kind of stuck themselves in a rut. How do they find themselves out of it besides just shooting themselves out of it? And that's not going to be a very definitive way out of it. It's doing a lot of damage to Neo, but there's just so many players directly in your way. It's just not a good strategy once there's all 5 players inside of the site.
Well, that was something. I at least respect that they didn't have a lot of, they didn't have a lot of utility to play around. They recognized that they bottlenecked themselves just a little bit and tried to play around an advantage that they could get, which is just trying to hit the site directly. But we saw a lot last game from Team SESH that they're very good at making sure you can't just walk into the site. They tend to play a lot more close together than many other teams do. Direct impact to the C4, and Lunar will get the kill onto Ace. Very limited by the attack comp, it seems. We're Outlast there, and I don't approve.
Come on, that's not the Wojak point, the YouTuber pog face.
What did you want me? There's nothing to pog at about that round.
Okay, but
nothing to pog at.
I guess that's true.
Yeah, I just don't approve. Shaking my head. Watching the Outlast Black attack and shaking my head the whole time to let everybody else know that I disapprove. Let everyone else know that I disapprove.
Look, there's something about the attack, whether it is like my Deimos love, called the death mark, by the way. I figured that out once we were talking about.
I should have thought of that. That feels pretty simple.
Yeah, I might look. I've got plans in the work for Deimos and upcoming events. We'll have to see if those actually.
That's what I was going off that. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got plans.
I have plans that I cannot share with you right now because the haters will sabotage me. Shout out Zay. He's in the VC. That's my man.
Yeah. But Outlast Black, I think this is the most changes they've hopped off to the Kebi, going on to what I initially wanted the first time we saw this Outlast attack, which is not a hard, sorry, vertical operator. Can't say that I was wanting the fuse. That is definitely a little risque pick, but it's also one that somewhat makes sense given the utility heavy site that this can be. If you just put those cluster charges in the right area, destruction follows.
Yeah. I think it's funny that they heard, maybe, I don't think they heard us, but I like to think that they heard us clamoring for a vert operator and said, all right, fine. Best I can do is fuse. And it's like, that's not quite what I meant, but
small little hole.
you know what? It works. Pressure from upstairs is still going to help out quite a lot. And a very lax upstairs hold. A lot of times you'll see teams on this objective extend all the way up to the second floor. In this case, it's just one in vending and one in kitchen. They're just planning to evacuate down the vending stairs. But for now, storage is entirely the attacks, and they can do whatever they so please in terms of vertical inside that room. Trying to feign a fallback here is Neo and TK. Maybe faking that they fell back. TK already down to the vending stairs, but Neo just trying to hedge his bets in the corner and hope that he's not expected.
Look at the boogie drone. That nice little hole is not gonna do too much for Team SESH right now. Having players directly under it. Eyesight serves. I think it'll do a good job at soaking a good bit of the explosives that Team SESH have. It's 2 C4s gone. Only 1 in the pocket of Lunar. Neo's just gonna fucking impact. And it is not helping him here. It's eventually going to be TK turning the corner, finding 2. There is a trade in the hands of Nexus, but the damage has been done.
Damage has been done all right. TK with a massive, excuse me, massive play upstairs. And he's still alive up there. So now they have to try and cut their losses and hit the site directly in a 3 versus 3 without the vert to play around aside from cargo and storage. And even still, if you're trying to play that vert, there's a good chance you get looked at. They can't walk down cargo stairs either, which is a pretty important spot for them to try and pressure, because otherwise it's really just Animus, and that's a little bit of a bottleneck. Nobody playing on the Mira inside of cargo, fortunately enough, though. So here goes Ollie. Could possibly start to stick the plant thanks to how lax these defenders are and how far back they're really trying to play. But the Malusi Goyo combo almost gets Ollie killed. And now he's going to have to try and make a long cross, but Lunar exposes himself way too far forward. Good trade, though, from Badger, but Badger's traded out. Then TK trades the trade of the trade and leaves Ace in a 1 versus 2 with not much time to work with and barely any control. As the case will start to plant it, but TK and Space both know better than that. Almost a little bit unlucky there. And not quite going to end up with the kill. Space will take it from him. But morale boosting with there. And SESH get another one on defense.
And I can never see the same way. If anybody knows Mossy-Zilla,
he says it all the time.
Mossy-Zilla excessively uses the word Like, he'll just goes, and I'm just like, I'm going to kill you, Mossy.
Aren't TK and Mossy friends too?
Probably. Mossy,
I think they're friends.
Mossy
Yeah, I think I've. Blazing is crazy. I think Mossy was in chat earlier. Shout out Mossy. I love that guy.
Yeah.
Don't tell him that. Don't tell him that.
Please tell him that.
Mossy, don't tell him.
Mossy number 1.
You dare. Number 1 lover of Mossy-Zilla. Anyways. 3-2, SESH looking to close things out in their favor. Outlast. After a good start, lose 2 in a row. That's all that it takes. 1 or 2 rough rounds, and all of a sudden it feels like you're at a big disadvantage. Still time for them to pull it back, though. And they'll get to go into control and storage once more. A site that they won attacking last time, thanks to their very quick clear upstairs and being way further forward than anybody on SESH thought that they were. And I think SESH is starting to adapt to that in these last 2 rounds, understanding that if they extend far off the site, Outlast are going to spot them on a drone for one of their teammates, and take the fight really early. And that's consistently been a good recipe for Outlast Black to find an opening kill. So instead of all that, SESH are just kind of playing a little closer to the site, not letting themselves get caught on an extension over by meeting, or on an extension all the way up to the second floor. And it worked last round. It worked in round 4. Remains to be seen if it'll work here again.
So for the Outlast Black roam clear setup, usually the Dikebi combined with the Deimos, isn't roam clearing too much here. First call is going to go out. Mainly just going to keep some of these attackers, keep some of these defenders away from any power positions. But Lunar Strikes takes out Exalt. And the other key part of that roam is gone. Lunar for 2. And now it seems like Team SESH might get that 4-2 lead that I talked about in the pre-show that I think they really needed.
Only 10 HP on Nexus, and he's barely hanging on to life. Swifted still full, but very far away. Gas canister nearly caught Nexus out just by coincidence and knocked him down far away from his last remaining teammate. He's still alive on the Raptors' doorway, not quite aware how close he is to getting that kill on this space. His teammates also found one, without losing any health for it. That could be quite influential later on, and they are very aware of this Raptors' doorway position. This is going to be good for Team SESH if they're able to isolate these fights, but instead, falling away, and Outlast Black trying to team up towards Rafters, but as Neo falls off, waits for an opportunity from the Rafters' door. It's a walk down the staircase for Swifted and Nexus, just trying to get presence inside of IT. The barbed wire and the Melusi, though, are going to give it away, and all this passive info gathering working wonders. As the warehouse play about to get shut down, his TK will shut down Nexus, so that his teammates' flank can be watched, and Neo doesn't have to worry about IT at all. Beautiful angles, beautiful crossfires, and beautiful last 3 rounds to close it out in their favor.
Whatever Outlast Black trying to make work up in that second to third round, it just wasn't able to connect. I think what worked wasn't going to within those last couple rounds. And Team SESH, I think this is really, really good for them because despite their meager attacking record, I think on paper it should be able to meet what Outlast Black have. And if they know their way around this map, which they slowly whittled their way to Nighthaven Labs, they can make things work. It's really up to Outlast Black, depending on how their roam works. You do have Exalt on the Vigil, which we have seen it excel tonight. We've also got the Solid, which is definitely more of a fringe pick nowadays because she doesn't have her impact. She doesn't have the ability to catch those drones in the prep phase. And, of course, she's just kind of bad now. And she's got more nerfs. I think they're nerfs around the corner. So, goodbye, Solus. You were kind of cool play. Less so in the...
Well, still on the board, Shotgun as well, trying to play heavy around that SMG-11. And sometimes you do just want to roam with an SMG-11, and unlike everybody in Staff Hub for some reason, you decide that it isn't smart to roam as a smoke and just opt to do it on Solus with a shotgun instead. Really don't know why that happens so frequently. But anyways, Swifted already at 18 HP. Very much the worst for wear coming out of that first 30 seconds, as everybody else is still pretty much full on their health. And Team SESH have already done a phenomenal job clearing out this half of the map, whether they realize it or not, as they are starting to realize that that kitchen, cafeteria side is completely free for the taking. Problem is, though, if you start to walk towards Lounge, there's still players on the second floor, and that hatch is open towards Pillar, so it's going to be very difficult to make a play.
You see the Dikebi attackers gonna make all these defenders sit still for just a second. You don't see much activity on the attack. They're still mainly setting the preliminary step up, getting that base wall open, checking out those black eyes. For all the operators that Team SESH have brought, they've only really put dent in this Outlast Black defense. It's going to be Ollie to strike first onto TK, and now you just have Badger left getting this wall open. All the rest of Team SESH are worried about the second floor, and it is just going so poor.
It really is. And Outlast Black not giving any ways in. SESH not fully dealing with the massive roam, and then not reaping the rewards of dealing with said roam. Very quickly in towards Exo, though. Space actually threatening the bomb site already. They might be able to sneak a plant down in here. With 2 players still alive, including 1 on the Maverick holes, the cover's actually pretty solid. The post plant going to be difficult, though. Badger able to get 1, but both of his teammates inside have died. So all that he needs to do is just hope that he get pop up at the right time and not die. Nope, not going to happen. Nice try, but Outlast Black will get their third.
When you bring a roam, a lineup that is very, very dedicated to a roam, and it doesn't do the roam clearing, what are you gonna do? Like, it's your main job to get rid of all of those pesky players up on that first and second floor, and that did not happen for Team SESH. You either can go for that direct or you go for that roam clear, but it has to do its job, and I think that is the issue that really was persistent for this team. They're going to have to swap things up because there's not going to be almost nearly enough of a roam presence on this second floor site. It's mainly going to be centered around the actual site itself. Maybe you got an extension onto the couch over onto the right. Maybe you've got an extension over into Aqua, which is why you could bring something like a Deimos, but with Team SESH, they're just bringing a normal lineup. You've got those Roteros in the pockets of Flores, the charges for Ash. The only question mark would be the Apatow, which could be for clearing out the corner of those garage rafters, which is somewhat similar to Clubhouse, but I think with the door there, you don't need to. We'll have to see what Lunar is really cooking.
I think you cut out a little bit. Yeah. You still hear me? I just want to make sure.
I'm still
You're
here.
good. All right. I don't know why I didn't hear the end of what you said. Anyways, making sure I didn't get stuck in a solo cast. 30 seconds into the round already. We've got a top floor defense coming through for Outlast Black, and Ace sitting by the forklift window. Unique spot to be at for sure, and it sounds like they have a drone at least nearby, if not on his position. Good timing to get away from that as well, because a lot of angles that you can use against someone trying to get out of that position, namely the window that they were just sitting by and he was maybe threatening a run out on, could also be used against you for the next few seconds you try to get away. So now he's perfectly safe, and Team SESH are actually still worried about nothing on this window. More hard breaching for SESH than what Outlast Black brought, along with no denial on the defensive side, makes this a very, very good combination for Team SESH in this round. It'll be very easy for them to open up some of those walls. Perhaps even being able to open up the pillar wall, maybe garage rafters wall. You have a lot of options here if you're SESH, thanks to having both the Ace and the Thermite.
Gotta make it work. On paper is one thing. In practice is another. I think that's one thing that Outlast Black really showed us, and last round for Team SESH is whatever you bring, you've still got to apply. So far that wall has gotten open. A lot of the Kibas getting destroyed. Exalt's Fortress slowly getting destroyed. Yeah. You peek that, a player just hanging upside down the right. Do not swing
And there's
that.
one on the stairs, too. Stop doing it.
Bad. Got drone. Stop. Bad. Dude, bad Exalt. Get the fucking, squirt bottle.
Whoa, hey! Family friendly, come on. Ace is coming up the staircase to try and watch the jump in rafters window. And SESH, in spite of all their options, are really trying to focus a lot of this util on just getting Garage to go their way. They've already lost TK in the process, and things aren't getting too much better. Great play from Neo, though, to move from the bottom side of the staircase, and here goes Badger off of that contact, swinging on the position known and compromised of Exalt. Now, thanks to that man advantage, Neo could possibly try and sneak up water stairs. This is a position, though, that's very expected in a fight that should be isolated and won here by Nexus, and it will be, but a great trade from Space. They're aware that someone's going to overextend over there and try and take an isolated fight to bring the man advantage back to even, so instead they double up. Good kill for Space, again to double down, but Swifted doubles down and even triples down! Holy Swifted in the 1 versus 3 somehow makes it work!
worst part about that is SESH needed that round. Had the attack seemed like it was going right, and then just the lead slips away from them. That 5-3 that is oh so delectable suddenly turns to an Outlast Black tie game. Reminder, Outlast Black have a statistical advantage on defense. It's much less apparent than something like the attack defense disparity that we saw between Outlast and SESH. Outlast still have the advantage, so the more rounds that this Outlast Black win, the harder it's going to be for SESH to actually just win this in general, especially in regulation. SESH, even if they lose this, overtime is where you want to be headed. If I look at this, the standings, Outlast Black are currently winning by 1 point.
10 seconds left before
And if Outlast Black win 2 and Team SESH win 1 point, that 2-point difference is still at a difference where Team SESH could beat SSG Academy in regulation and they make playoffs. Cannot lose this in regulation. You already put yourself in a great position earlier by beating Fluffy Gamers 3-0, but losing when you feel like you get so close would just be a brutal heartbreak for a team that has had a pretty good day otherwise.
I like the pick of space onto the blitz here, just so you could try and force Outlast Black out of some of their early control and gather something. Last round, it felt like by the end of the round, you really didn't have an awful lot to work with, so Swifted, in that 1v3, knew pretty much where to expect everybody, and 2 of them were coming from the same angle, so you didn't give him too many different options in that situation, and you kind of just walked into him. You didn't have the time to open up that one of the walls in towards server because you didn't really have that control so early. That blitz should partially remedy that. Also, just make the push into the site itself a lot stronger, and it's probably not something that Outlast Black are too ready for. Jump into Raptor's window, already denied by a goo mine. That'll be promptly pulled out of his foot, though, as he continues to advance forward in space. With solid control, already damage dealt to Swifted. Accidentally shoots a Capcan trap, too. Doesn't quite get the kill through the wall, though. And Swifted on a burner somehow turns and burns Neo. Exult now known inside of Electrical, but nobody's holding his cross. And so because nobody's on the cutoff angles, he's just going to get run down. But Exult can actually do something about this. Matter of fact, he can turn it around on the shield. I don't know how that's worked out, but it has. And space goes down. TK will trade it, but I don't think that's enough.
Space is blaming the ping. He's blaming the ping, chat. Losing your Blit for that Valkyrie and your Ace as well, you have traded so much for that top floor, and I don't think you do it with a good amount of time. Luckily, you still have your Sledge to fall back on, and C4s have been deployed to the bucket of Outlast Black, but you're still going to have to essentially drop onto the site. While the defense has very, very good viewage of the entire site itself, just given how much they control up on that second floor, that drop has to be critical for this attacking team. It seems like they are going down a regular stairs.
Oh, no.
TK gets a big one, though. That's going to open up a lot of avenues for this attacking team. You see Badger getting close to that default plant spot.
Nobody's in the basement either. TK with a great kill onto one. He's defending himself. He doesn't need your help. Damsel in distress. No, the other team's in distress because they tried to fight the damsel, and they are damn in the wrong for doing so. Lunar is able to make the last kill work as well, but not in that world. Were you winning that round with TK playing that well?
Ideally, that's what Vertical does. That is, when you sleep at night and you think of what Sledge and Buck are supposed to do, it is exactly that. Pops the entire round open like a can opener, and Team SESH turn what initially looks like a decently scary round, given how, I'll just say it, poor their initial roam clear went. PK just uses Sledge to perfection, makes it so that Team SESH do get that attacking ground, the first one that they've been able to get in this half, and now they go onto that basement side. A previous one was pretty rough, we'll say that. Didn't really have any legs to stand on, especially once that they got that diffuser down. But now Swapping back onto the Ram, they've got that IQ to potentially spot the Solus. There isn't a Valkyrie this go around, so it really does seem like it's going to be a pretty basic home clear, followed by vertical, and then that entry into the site. Only having the hard breach in the hands of the secondary hard breach of Grim and Striker.
Nice point to make at the end with only having 2 hard breachers into this kind of an objective can be rough. Animus and assembly walls are both very, very useful to have fully open, possibly use those as a threat to walk in late round. So only having the hard breaching gadgets as secondaries makes it way harder for that to be a possibility. Go can be called out very early to possibly dissuade any roamers from trying to make anything happen, but probably too early, because off the back of that first call, nothing happens, and now only 1 left for the rest of the round to really capitalize on, and this roam pretty much undisturbed on both the first and second floors.
There's a player there. Exactly, no, okay, they know. the pings are there. A's has a big play here. Him and Ollie just firing through, but no idea about the player directly to his left as Neo gets closer and closer. Double digits and Outlast Black. They lose the Solus straight off the bat, not even a trade. And if Nexus falls, this entire attack could fall to pieces. But there is the answer. And it seems like Outlast Black, they have more cards up their sleeve that Team SESH have not accounted.
Exalt on the hatch, too. A lot here for Outlast Black. The Team SESH just aren't going to be ready for it, but one of them shows their hand a little bit too soon. And now TK, aware of that presence away from the bomb site. Now Badger on the assembly wall could start to swing wide, maybe kill 1 or 2, and importantly, help his teammates get a plant down. Storage, though, still seemingly under the control of the defense, so maybe any vert in there could possibly be used against a plant trying to be stuck inside of assembly, but that's what they have to go for, because they don't really have enough control to make anything else work. Nice play, perfectly timed on that swing as Badger. C4 out, isn't going to do anything about anyone, anywhere, and Badger still absolutely causing havoc outside the assembly wall. Exalt eventually able to use this storage holes against the attackers, but the case is already down, and 2 of you guys are at 1 HP, and Swifted, the only other one, gonna take a while to get back in there, and Space absolutely goes insane, making it look like a Kovacs. With the flick from one to the next, double headshot, and 2 rounds in a row for Team SESH.
Team SESH have guaranteed overtime. They got at least a point, which means it is winnable, no matter the outcome at this point, to make playoffs, given how tomorrow's game comes. But Team SESH can get the 3 points right here. Send themselves to playoff, send Outlast Black home, and make tomorrow's game a seeding it. Because I think, yeah, they've still got a chance tomorrow if Mormon Battalion don't perform, that they could steal 4th place from all the way in 7th. There is a real possibility that Team SESH comes from behind, wins 2 straight games, 7-7-4, and then they get into 4th place. What a story that would be from a team that seemed to sneak into Element and had a very, I would say, poor performance. I think just contrast to the teams that were there. It wasn't expected that they would do well, but if they actually get things done here, have a great little comeback story, go into the playoffs, maybe make a small run, I think maybe people will start to think of some of the players, especially players like TK, who even is IGLing, is still fragging out of his mind. He's still getting jobs done. I like Team SESH's odds if they can walk away with the win here.
They're going in a hot streak, too. At the very least, they're showing that they can beat a couple different squads within the league. Beating Fluffy Aimers, a team that's already themselves guaranteed a spot in at least the LCQ. And then also beating Outlast Black, a team who went head-to-head against a lot of the best teams in the league, going to OT against Mormon Battalion and even getting a win over Final Form as well. 1-for-1 off the rip as Exalt gets that first pick, but Space will trade it out real quick. And the Dokubi call, well, at least gonna get a 1-for-1 off of that. A lot of control established, and so far, that first minute going heavily in favor of SESH just because of all this control, and now they can set up a lot of cutoff angles. Almost able to catch Ace running back to the site, and this Jackal track might give away where he is, trying to walk back into the objective, but make sure that he sticks around for the last track, just so they're not 100% confident that he's fallen back to the basement.
What do we have here?
Ooh, being spotted as well. Be pretty difficult. Now you have to back off. There's even more Jackal tracks, even more drones. The can't be called to back it up. Swift is just going to stop dead in his track to close that up. Next is this D4. If he chooses to detonate it, it will not get anything, but just holding back, seeing if he can connect on anybody, because so far, OUTLAST Black don't have an answer. It's just going to be where Team SESH drop if they're actually going to find some sort of equalizer. There's the C4. Does not connect, but Nexus still capitalizes on it. And now, 56 seconds left. OUTLAST Black who have the advantage, which is immediately wiped away.
The trade by Lunar onto Swifted, and then he just swings wide on an Ace. Way too much of his body exposed all at once. And OUTLAST Black end up dying on their own because they don't do anything with it, and Lunar's got 3. Keep swinging him. Let's see how this one goes, Nexus. Spoiler alert, it's not going to end well in the whole game. Not going to end well for OUTLAST Black. They start off with 2 defensive rounds, and then much like the first half, a flurry of rounds in a row, make it 3 consecutive for Team SESH, will secure them the regulation win, and with that, Team SESH are guaranteed a spot in the LCQ. They'll be playing against probably the 4th seed from Group B. But regardless of what seed it's going to be, they will have life left in them yet. Same can't be said for OUTLAST Black, though. Well-fought season, but it's all done now.
Only 1 win for the entire thing, and it was over Final Form, the other team that got eliminated. So I think both these teams kind of showed their hand, showed what they're capable of. For Team SESH, really, you take down Fluffy Gamers, you take down a team that is in that I think would be 6th place given scores and everything. I've kind of said my 2 cents about them, what I think they're capable of, what can happen given this LCQ run. They've also got another game tomorrow up against SSG Academy, another very good T2 team of which they could really turn.
Yeah, so tomorrow it'll be SSG Academy